Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the 757 Renaissance Man podcast. I have with me a true 757 Renaissance man, one of my brothers. You know, it's a crowd of us that grew up together, running around in these in these pulpits and these sanctuary streets. And this is one of my brothers, Ray Rouson. How you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm honored to be up here. How you doing, my brother?
Man, it's been a long time coming. I've been trying to get you for a minute now, but I just think the timing is right now.
Absolutely.
So you come from I like to call you, I had your brother on, and I like to call you guys the Gospel Jacksons.
Where did they come from? I saw that episode, by the way, and I was like, where did they come from?
Because all of y'all play something or sing. And does your sister preach?
My sister is a bootleg preacher.
I bet she got a word in it. I bet she does.
She has a word. Now, here's a true fact.
Okay.
I can't sing.
All right.
You don't want me to sing. Church is open. That's not my calling.
So I was talking to your brother about that. So what was it like growing up? Was it one of those things where you guys kind of naturally did it, or was it your dad putting y'all together like y'all gonna, or because growing up in PK, I know how it go. Did your dad just need somebody to play, and I got my kids, so we're gonna make it work?
So here's the truth. I think it's a little bit of this. It's like a fourth option. That is, we were always at the church.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, being a PK, you're always at the church. Everybody else has gone home. You're still sitting there. In the case of me, my brother picked up the piano, as you all know. I was a drummer. Mm-hmm. I played drums and then picked up bass, and my sister always sang. And so I think it really started with being at the church and tinkling around with it, and then becoming proficient enough that my dad trusted us on a Sunday morning. So no, there were great musicians at the church. As a matter of fact, all of us were second string. Okay. Michael Robinson played the organ. Elder Mark Hicks, Michael Lewis. So my brother, when he came on, they had musicians. We had what I consider one of my drumming idols, out of my top five, Jonathan Pierce, who played, and his brother, Hiawatha Pierce, played bass. I was like the second guy if they didn't show up.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of us started, I mean, that's the way I started. Just, you know, you're a preacher's kid, you at church, you got to be at church, and then you can do about it. You bored, but there's a piano sitting right there.
Yep.
And then somebody's gonna be like, "Come here, boy. Let me put a couple things in your ear."
Yep. And what's funny is, growing up, the church we were in, if we got on it, the church mothers would tell us to get off of it because the piano was holy. Yeah. And I'm still trying to figure out how the piano is holy. Yeah. Well, you know, that's what they said, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and it's okay. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about old school church versus new school church.
Ooh, you're going deep early. I love it.
So, all right, you know what? And I know that you can feel me on this. Do you know how I learned how to fold sheets in my house?
How's that?
Watching the deaconesses every first Sunday.
Communion?
Where they had communion and they had to take that sheet off the communion and fold it up. So me and my sister, true preacher's kids, me and my sister, we're home doing the laundry, talking about take it to the wire. What are some of the old traditions that you miss in traditional church?
That I miss, yes, or I'm glad are gone? Which one?
Oh, we could do both. Let's start off with miss.
So let's start off miss. So here's the truth. I love, in the traditional church, I grew up Pentecostal, so We had to give honor to God and then do the roll call. It wasn't testimony unless you went down the preacher's roll call. But I miss the fact that in the church I grew up with, it was no question that we would take time for the Spirit to have His way.
Mm-hmm.
I think nowadays we've become what I like to call, we're a social media generation. We're tweetable. So I think our patience isn't the same. I grew up and church could be 2.5 hours. And if it was good, you never realized it was 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, Nona Jones from Facebook says the average person is going to tune in 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah. So to look at that time span and then to look at now how we have kind of readjusted services to try to keep up with the time span that people are going to pay attention. I miss the fact that growing up, you could take as long as you needed to get what you needed and nobody ever got up and left.
All right. So we're going to put a pin in that. And all right. So now what's one of the things that you're glad is gone?
I do not miss, and I don't know if this is traditional church or if this is just as you grow up and you develop a relationship with Christ for yourself. I don't miss the in reverence to God posters I used to see in church. Okay. So in my church, we had in reverence to God, we don't eat in the sanctuary. Okay. In reverence to God, we don't wear hats. In reverence to, and it was these lists of things that weren't biblical, but it's what, almost like our play on God. And look at the church today. We wear hats. Right. We now bring our Starbucks or our coffee in because what we learned is that was never religion. That was someone's personal preference.
Dude, it was when I was a teenager, we had a big revolution in my church with the teenagers and the older folks over wearing jeans to church. It was a big deal.
Listen, there was back in the day, you couldn't wear jeans.
Oh, yeah. In certain church, we came up with a time where certain churches, the women, they had to wear skirts or dresses all the time. Even in gym, you got to wear a dress.
And for us, growing up for us, I guess the aha moment was, and this is going to date me, we were kids and MC Hammer was coming to Hampton Coliseum, ironically. So this is how long ago this was. And we asked my dad if the church could take us to the MC Hammer concert. In lieu of doing the Hammer concert, he let us start the children's choir. Nice. Which for us, again, because it gave us a voice and a presence, and from there, kind of grew our appetite. I will say for us, growing up traditional Pentecostal, one of the things I appreciated was there are a lot of things that I heard other churches did not allow that we did. So we've always embraced women preachers. Mm-hmm. We've always embraced come as you are to a degree. Now we had to grow to that full come as you are, but we've always kind of been a little liberal to that end. But I can remember if you were serving, listen, you were in the black pants, the white shirt with the black shoes.
Right. And the gloves behind your back.
That's it. I was an usher, fourth Sunday usher.
Right. You better not get up and not put that finger up.
Nope. That one finger.
So let's go back to you were talking about how, you kind of could take your time. Now that, especially in the age of Corona, church is different. And me and you both, we work on the media side of it, and we had to reimagine what church is now in Corona. So do you think that, that kind of doesn't help? Because now you have online services, and when online services is almost like you can have a free flowing worship, but a lot of times, sometimes you restrict it to certain time periods. How do you think that's affecting you and your ministry?
So I'll say this. I think that times are ever changing. I think the reality is when we kind of get on board the train. Mm-hmm. So I'll say this, you are, and this platform is a representation of that. You are a master when it comes to media and integrating media to push platforms. That's your gift and calling. Your platform is amazing. here's the truth. We're just catching on as a culture to something you've probably had in your head for years.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That if we think about it, by the time people catch on, what has been in our heads is we flush it out 50 times.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the truth when we talk about that in church. I think that in the Black church and in the Black smaller church, Corona was a big deal because what do we do to go online? But if we look at some of our bigger churches and some of our other ethnicities and their relationship as far as worship experiences, they've always done, online services. And we're not ready for this. In other cultures, they put a screen up and the people pack the church out to watch a TV screen like a movie. We're not doing that. In the Black church, if the pastor not there, listen, that's a vacation Sunday.
Right.
So
we tip
so
it out.
I think for right. So I think for us, when we talk about what we did, we were already streaming online, but it did force us to come back and look at to see, hey, how can we get the most impact? Because the other piece is this. Let's just talk true for a second. Before Corona, if I came to New Hope to worship, if I left New Hope, it was seen because I had to get up. Mm-hmm. If you came to Shekinah and you left, we all knew it because you got up. Now you can just click a button. So you can enter quietly and you can leave quietly.
So do you think that it takes away from the intimacy of the worship experience?
No. And that I think that whether you're in a packed room or whether you're in your living room, if we be honest, my Sunday morning experience for me are three things. Number one, it is my opportunity to have open dialogue with God. Mm-hmm. It is a set aside space that I've put where I'm going to come, even if it's corporately in the building, I'm coming to get what I need from God. Number two is the opportunity for me to hear the word from the day from whoever it is preaching, to be able to find out what is it that God entrusts me with that he's downloaded to me this week. And then three, that third component is that place where we can have koinonia or fellowship. But I think the amazing thing about social media and in person is whether I'm giving people elbow bumps or whether I'm typing in the comments, I still have that opportunity to do all three things.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some things. I remember a child, Pastor Foster used to be the pastor of New Hope Baptist Church, and he used to teach out of Revelations. And one of the things that I picked up as a child and when it comes to the end of days, and I'm paraphrasing. This is what I got from it. When it comes to the end of days, there's going to be no excuse because God's word is going to be broadcast all over the world. I find that very, very ironic in the days and times that we're in right now. And now, your average church on the corner can broadcast just like the 700 Club.
Absolutely.
So do you feel you tie into that?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I say this all the time. COVID made every church a storefront. Mm-hmm. Whether you were the Potter's House or whether you were going to Heaven Salvation Station number 12, all of us were now talking in front of a camera, and that's it. And if we're honest, to answer your question, absolutely. Nowadays, you can sit from the comfort of your home, you can press a button, and you literally can take the gospel around the world. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, we used to raise the mission offering to send the people to Africa. And those days, you don't have to do that to get the gospel out anymore. And I think that, and to answer your question, yes, that is the times being fulfilled from the prophecy of the Bible. That now you can sit at home and you can preach the word, teach the word, you can expound on the word. It can go across the whole world while you're sleeping. And then what's amazing with social media is it then's going to tell you every city and country that people are watching you from.
Right. Like we have a couple of people that are watching us from Scotland. Like it blew my mind. I totally did not think. I mean, now that I know, but I totally didn't think about there being Black Christians in Scotland.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the amazing things about the gospel in today's context, and this is Ray's version. This isn't Luke, Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. This is not one of the synoptic gospels. This is the gospel according to Ray. I really believe this. I believe that, well, this is biblical. I believe that there is an ear of people who want to hear good word. Mm-hmm. Now, we categorize that in the context of church, but let's put it in the context of this platform. There are people who are logging into the 757 Renaissance Man podcast because they're looking for encouragement, empowerment. They're looking to be equipped. They're looking to see how can they grow. And here you go. I know you don't want to hear this. You are their online pastor, mm-hmm. because they're tuning in to you to be able to pull life applicable principles that they can then take and put into their lives. And so whether we want to look at it this way or not, we all become ambassadors that people find and follow to get information for their future. The question is, what are we saying?
Mm-hmm. And
what
I've always,
are we really
always
maximizing?
Felt that, I've never been one to be overly churchy. Like, I'm not going to run you down and tackle you and hit you upside the head with the Bible. I would rather live my life a different way and be that example than be like, what was the lady on Sanford and Son?
Oh, Wanda.
Yeah. Instead of being like her and fish eye food and hitting you upside the head, I would rather live my life and you be like, so what's going on with him? What is he doing? Because a lot of times I think, absolutely, especially with being a Christian, and especially by being a PK, we get it really bad. By being a Christian, people expect certain things from you, but the very meaning of being a Christian means that I'm still working on myself.
Absolutely, and I think you hit something which is kind of my mantra as well, and that is, I don't want to impress people with how well I know the Bible. That means nothing if I don't mirror what I read. Mm-hmm. So for me, I agree with you 100%. My favorite disciple is Peter. No denying it. You hear it here's why. Peter, to me, here's what I love about Peter. Peter is not afraid to be wrong.
All right. Before you go into that, I got something for the people. I'm gonna let them catch you in action. We got action shots.
Oh man. Oh, here we
go. This isn't for everyone. Only true Bible readers can get excited off of this, Dr. Logan. Let me explain to you why. Peter is the disciple who keeps it real. Peter is the one who's not afraid to be wrong. Peter is the loyal disciple who proves that he may not always get it right, but he's always going to be honest. Peter, the cussing, cutting disciple. Yeah, it was Peter who cut off the soldier's ear when they came to arrest Jesus. It was Peter who just a few verses ahead is going to respond, and Jesus is going to tell him, "Get thee behind me, Satan." Peter who keeps some words on his tongue and a blade in his pocket. Peter is the definition of hood and holy. Here we go. And I know that this Sunday of the year, you're looking real good. I know that the people in this church are looking great. I know that you're online, you're eating your breakfast. But I wonder, are there any Peters who are watching this morning? I know you may not be honest as you want to be because the eyes on you. Peter is the one who loves the Lord but don't cross him. Peter is the one who, if you keep talking, can catch these hands. Peter will let you know that you don't have but a few more times to keep talking slick. Okay, you're not going to be honest with me. That's fine. I know the cameras are rolling and we have to be very pretentious and we have to say, praise the Lord. But I wonder, is there anyone here who can say, I love the Lord with all my heart, my mind, and my soul, but I'm not soft either?
That's Peter's my guy. Yeah, Peter, man, to me, is the representation of the individual who I may not always get it correct. Mm-hmm. But I don't mind being honest enough to admit I'm getting it wrong. But at the same token, don't think because I love Jesus, you're going to step on me. So here's my true story, Sean. I'll be honest with you. I was a fighter. And people say, before I found Jesus. No, I was a fighter before yesterday. I'm getting too old now. And I think that what happens is oftentimes we come across people, they meet great people and they try to step over them. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that if we're not, and this is just my personal conviction, I think that it is okay. I identify with the person that says, I love the Lord, but there's a limit on how many times you're going to test me. That's me.
Mm-hmm. And that's only, me. I mean, it's only real. You can't, and that's one of the things I think, look, I'm speaking for God, right? This is one of the things I think that irritates him the most. And this is why I couldn't be God. Because after the third time you promised me that you was going to quit and you weren't going to do it no more, I'm smoking you. You just smoke. Smoted it.
Hashtag. Man, but here's the truth. Sha, here's the truth. Here's the revelation that I love. There are more people. So here's what I love about today's concept of church. Okay. Because we're here in church. You can come as you are. You can be completely honest with where you are and find acceptance and find that God still loves you. It's not my job this is me. This is my belief. It's not my job to condemn you. It's my job to show you God loves you. Because here's the truth. If I begin to nitpick you and everything that you've done as if I haven't done anything, I'm a hypocrite. Mm-hmm. I'm not keeping it real. At the same token, if I have the ability, Sean, to sit here and say everything Sean's done wrong, in turn, Sean, you got an opportunity to pull my card as well. And at the end of the day, what I've learned is God is a God where regardless of where you find yourself on the spectrum of life, he's there. Mm-hmm. He's there. And he's there waiting to help you get to your next step.
And it's funny, I just had this conversation with my daughter. She's the oldest, she's 14. My son is 10. So she has a habit of mother henning him. Which, I get it. And he's little brother. You the little brother. You know how y'all do. So
I'm the oldest.
Oh, you're the oldest? I thought you were the young
I'm the
brother.
Oldest. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So then you do know how the little brother does and is always picking at you and getting at you. But that's what the little brother is supposed to do. And I'm telling her as her older sister, you got to watch because he's watching you. Now, you just fussed at him and told him off about some of the things that he's done, but he's also watching the things that you do.
Absolutely.
So you can't be an effective big sister without, really taking that into consideration.
And I think the same applies to us in our Christian lives, that we cannot be effective ambassadors of Christ if we allow the little things to get to us from this end. Now, don't get me wrong. You push me to the edge, I'm going to let you know. But I'm never going to do anything. I do not want to. Let me say that. That's my prayer, my desire daily, to do anything that disappoints God. Mm-hmm. I think subsequently, if I can kind of shift, I know this is your platform. I think subsequently God allows opportunities like this, like what he's birthed in you, to create the stage to be able to show all that a Christian, all that a follower of Christ looks like in these days. Mm-hmm. That you can be successful, you can be an entrepreneur, you can have ideas, dreams, you can think outside of the box. That ministry is not tied to a collar or in a sanctuary, but it is literally a platform to be able to share Christ, which is what this is, what you're doing now. Mm-hmm. And you've had some of my favorite people on this show. Hopefully I love Angus Black.
That's going to continue, we hope.
Listen, and so I think at the end of the day, it becomes our responsibility to push the needle forward to introduce Christ in a new light and in a new space, because there's someone in every space and every walk that needs it. And that's just my opinion.
That's one of the people ask me all the time. Like you just mentioned Angus, shout out to Angus. So they'll be like, so you'll go from having a Ray Rouson on your show to an Angus Black. But yeah, because
let me be the one to throw it out there. Or my brother Joe Pro.
right, Joe Pro, right. Those are who we grew up with. But I don't think because you're a Christian, you gotta be I
Absolutely.
can't hang out with them. I can't be seen with
Absolutely.
them. Because you may be missing your chance to be that light in somebody's situation by taking
Absolutely.
yourself. I really think that Jesus hung in the hood. Jesus definitely.
You're talking language.
It tells you he talked to the prostitutes. He talked to the back in the day the tax collector. That was, nobody was trying to holler at the tax collector because a lot of times they were crooked. And they just, they see the tax collector come, here he come, he about to dig in my pockets, right? And these are all the people that are quote unquote, do I want to say second class citizens?
Oh, let me hear from you another way. The Bible says that for them to identify Jesus, Judas has to go kiss him. Translation, Jesus is common to man. Mm-hmm. I say this all the time. If Jesus was alive today, number one, let's remember the fact that Jesus died a millennial. So, I don't think Jesus would have on a Murphy robe.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't think Jesus would be wearing the Johnson and the Johnson and Murphy shoes and the Stacey Adams suit. You ask me, now this is my opinion. Mm-hmm. I'm not knocking nobody else's. My opinion is I see Jesus in a t-shirt and some skinny jeans.
And some Vans.
All day. All day. That's just me. And so I think that, which does not take away from his deity. Mm-hmm. I just believe that he has to be, and this is me, Jesus has to be applicable to me that I can understand him. So for me, Jesus, this is Ray, Jesus, if he's here, is talking more like the Message Bible and less like King James. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Again, understanding the times and all those other things, that's just my perception. I think ultimately when we look at what we're doing, the question is, are we setting the stage for the next generation to come? Have we made the gospel applicable, not just to our brothers and sisters, but Sean, so that our kids can understand and want to develop that relationship with Christ? Mm-hmm. Have we put Jesus on the same platform as Little Uzi Vert?
Okay.
As Lil Baby, as Cardi B? And by that, I simply mean that I cannot change what our kids are listening to. And I know we say, I thought my kids don't listen to it. Well, your kids are still going to find a way to listen to what they're listening to. They're just not telling you.
And nowadays, they don't have to look. We had to look.
Yeah,
we had to go find them tapes and things that y'all was hiding.
Yes.
But it's right in our kids' face.
We live in a Google generation. Sean, when you and I were growing up, people would tell us, don't do it because I said so. Mm-hmm. And we had to take that. Because when we were growing up, if you wanted information, you had to find someone that had an encyclopedia.
A current encyclopedia.
Correct. Nowadays, with Google, everything good and bad is at their fingertips. So my thing is, I'm not trying to compete to tell you don't listen to Little Uzi Vert or Little Baby. I'm showing you that God is greater than that. And here's the truth. Now, listen, they may pull my card for this. Here's my honesty. I listen to some of the same things they listen to. I don't agree with it, but here's me. I say this and I yield back to you, Sean. I cannot cook. In my household, my wife is the cook, 150 million%. But here's what I learned. I learned that my wife, who's a foodie, loves to travel and try different things to see how she likes the experience of it. For me, I listen to music, not because I always agree with it, but I want to have a reference point to be able to know how do I pinpoint and start talking about Christ to someone. Mm-hmm. The reality is I cannot go to someone and I'm not going to start talking to my daughter and used a reference of Mahalia Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And what's crazy is, if we're honest, those people who we think are kind of old now in their style, they were cutting edge in their day. Thomas Dorsey, Precious Lord, Take My Hand. They wanted to put him out of church with that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Happy Day. Whoever would have thought Oh, Happy Day was cutting edge and controversial?
Right.
Remember when Kirk Franklin first came out, Do You Want a Revolution? Listen, now those things we accept, but here's my point. It's because those artists had their ear both to Christ's lips and to the culture of that time. And they've been making music. We've been listening to music that's reflective of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Clark sisters. I love them. But you can hear a little bit of Stevie Wonder if you go back and listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's bad. I just think we have to be true ambassadors. We have to at least know what the pulse of the culture is like.
Yeah. So, and that makes me, I have this conversation with my kids all the time. My daughter's 14, so she's at that curious age. And so we had a conversation the other day about Christians and profanity. And how would Jesus have spoken in today's times? I'm not saying that he would have embraced profanity, but I believe that he would have to speak the language of the streets to be able to be in certain rooms. You need to be able to speak the language.
Okay.
No,
So
I'm not saying that.
Jesus,
I'm not saying he's cussing nobody out or nothing.
Yeah, I don't think
But
that's
as far
Jesus
as slang
using
words,
some of those words.
Right. As far as slang words.
Okay. So here's my take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just had to pause and think about that for a second because we are airing this live. I don't think he'd be cursing, but I think he understood the times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think equally, though, what we find throughout the Bible is a message of love. And sometimes redirection, but through love.
Mm-hmm. Correction,
but through love. Encouragement in love. And so for me, I think that both Jesus and us would understand what the words mean. I do think that it becomes our opportunity to restructure what people say.
Yes. So I don't want nobody
I know
to say
what a lot of words mean.
Ray Rouson was on the 757 Renaissance Man telling people to cuss and Jesus was cussing. Nobody ever said that.
No. What I am saying is I know what all of the words mean.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to say all the words. I would be lying if I said I've never said the words. But what I learned as I've matured is that I don't have to use certain words to get my point across.
Mm-hmm.
What I've learned about profane language, both curse words and just words that are just gross and, in nature, is that a lot of times it is a result of not knowing what to say in that moment. Mm-hmm. So this is my 20th year working with at-risk kids in the school system. And in 20 years, what I can say is the majority of the time I've met someone, we've had a conversation about language, and we get down to the root of it, that it was said in a place of either frustration, because I didn't know what to say, so I said blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Or I've been around it so long, I just truly don't know better. And so I may act like I don't care, but it's truthfully from a place of I don't know what to substitute that with. And so my responsibility as an adult and as a mentor is to be able to say, you substitute this with this. Mm-hmm. Because in certain settings, people are not going to listen to you because they're going to be turned off by what you're saying. And as much as you have a right to say what you want, you won't get far saying everything you want. And isn't that like our responsibilities as Christians? To say, you may do this, this, and this. Let me let you know about a God that says, hey, you can substitute this profane life for this. Because you can live how you want to live and say what you want to say. But it won't end up where you think it wants to end up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think for me, I know what the words mean. I choose not to say or invoke it because for me, I've learned the power of words.
Okay, so going with that and talking about the power of words, you come from a household that has a mastery of the human language. I mentioned it to your brother, and I see it in you too. You both of you guys have a style of being able to separate yourself from the position of preacher and come to the level of teaching. There are certain preachers who, when they preach, they preach at you. You know, they're not preaching to give you the understanding of the message or putting it in a real place where you can get it, where you can digest the word instead of being so haughty and have so many big words flying at you and, you know, making sure that we have proper diction at all times. You guys have a way of just breaking it down and telling the story in a real way, but getting the message across without making you feel like you was just lectured.
Wow. Thank you for that. I never thought of that. But I would have to give my father is an amazing wordsmith. I tell people all the time, my dad was Kevin Hart before there was a Kevin Hart. And here's what I mean. He mastered the way of language and communication. Even when it came down to my dad, to know my dad is to know back in the day, man, he could have had a life as a comedian. He knew he had a way with words that everybody would be laughing. You would be laughing too, and not even realize you were laughing at yourself because he was just so amazing with words. And equally when it came to preaching and speaking, amazing. And so I would have to take credit. I call him my Superman, in that he stretched our thinking. Ironically, my father and my mother pushed all their kids to follow their dreams. None of them ever said, you got to be a preacher. It was to follow whatever you felt was in your heart to do. But I would have to give that one, glory to God, and two, my dad, and then three, my brother. Listen, I sit at my brother and listen to him every week. His way with words is just phenomenal. And I think that in communication with people, though, all of us, when you talk about my family, I think we all approach life from the concept that I'm just like you. I'm a human. I talk to you like I want people to talk to me. You want to put me to sleep, start throwing $20 words around the room. That's just me. And what's ironic is when I first started preaching, I was that guy, the anthropomorphic hand of God. And then one day my cousin Kevin was like, hey man, be yourself. Just talk normal. And it made me find my voice. I'll be honest, as a preacher, I've been some of everybody trying to develop my voice. I've been a little T.D. Jakes, a little Noah Jones, a little R.A. Vernon, a little Cedric Rouson, a little Todd Hall, because I was trying to find myself. Once I was able to find Ray, oh man, the ball game was over because I began to communicate like I like to be talked to. So that's just my personal thing. Yeah. Whether we're talking about clickbait on Netflix or whether we're talking about revelations, that's just me.
So do you ever find that is any sibling rivalry with the sermons?
No, my brother is the GOAT. You don't know that?
Like, have you ever been like, I'm gonna preach today. I'm gonna kill him with this one.
No, here's the truth. Here's the truth. I think you got to know your lane. I think you have to know your lane. I say this publicly to you, but it's stuff I've told him privately. I think my brother's one of the greatest to ever pick up the Bible. And what's amazing is this doesn't come by gift only. I used to watch my brother as a kid. I mean, he's a little kid. He's like 12 and he's reading the Bible cover to cover. I'm outside. I'm talking to girls. I'm living my best life. And so, no, he's one of the greatest. And I said it because my brother, who's my mentor when it comes to preaching, taught me this valuable lesson that he learned called finding Toto in the text.
Okay.
And that finding the one thing in the scripture that everybody else overlooks. So for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Okay. So then everybody is going to deal with, everlasting life hypothetically. My brother pulled out in his preacher's sermon on the God who gave. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that, by the time you finish, so no, not at all. Never. And I say that because I'm forever learning from him. I think that true development becomes when you can find yourself and surround yourself with people better than you. And your goal is never to beat them. Your goal is just to continue to be able to learn from them. I'll be the first to admit, I have walked in some rooms that I could have never paid for, because I'm Cedric Rouson's brother, as much as I take it as I'm a student of him. So no, I wouldn't at all try it. And my sister's a sleeper. Don't get it twisted. My sister's preached a couple times and I heard her. She tough money.
I know she is. She can't help
Out
it.
of the three, I'm the weakest link.
Oh, you think so?
Oh yeah.
I don't know, bro.
Hands down.
I don't know. You guys
Hands
don't know.
down. Out of the three.
Ray just preached at my church like 2 weeks ago, and I'm still rewinding that thing.
Listen, man, to God be the glory. He was kind. He was kind.
All right, so we're going to talk about that since we're here. And before I let you go, we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
You did. All right. So being that you're a minister that works in the media team, so it's certain nuances that I like. When you're a church kid and you're in church all the time, you find your little points that, keep you interested. And I noticed when you were preaching the other Sunday, because I'm running the live stream. So I am moderating the comments in the church. And so you took a little old school and mixed it with the new school. So everybody knows, you got the preachers and he's talking to the crowd and you pull out names of people just to make sure they ain't falling asleep and they paying attention. I get that. But not only did you do that and call the lights and talk to me lights, you were moderating the comments and preaching at the same time.
Oh,
so,
my God.
I had never seen it like that in my life.
So I got to be honest with you, though. It's something that I saw my coach do. Mm-hmm. I watched my brother do it. That in truth, this is my honest opinion for what it's worth or not. A decent preacher can exegete a text. A great preacher can exegete a text and the crowd. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's something I saw my brother do, but it's something that I believe in, and that is, let's talk about it for a second. We got a couple minutes. The majority of our people are now watching online. Mm-hmm. If we put all of our experience to the people in the building, how long are they going to stay online if they don't feel like they're connected? Mm-hmm. So my personal thing is, hey, I see, so I'm preaching. I have my iPad with my notes because I'm a manuscript preacher. And I have my phone on Facebook Live and I'm watching New Hope's broadcast and I'm interacting with them because my point is, whatever God has given me to say, I feel like he's giving it to anybody who's watching. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to negate the fact that you're watching from home. So, hey, Nisha, Peter's hood and holy.
Right.
And in truth, in truth, it's just the mixture of both. Because again, to me, that's not something that's going anywhere. Mm-hmm. The digital church isn't going anywhere. It's just going to continue to expand. So it's just our ability to be able to, and our methods, as I like to say, marry theology and technology.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things that you're so ahead of the game with, to even realize that, it's all about reaching out and touching people, even if they're at home, online, making that emotional connection too. It's all about making an emotional and a spiritual connection. And, I was just flabbergasted when I saw you do it masterfully.
Oh, man. Thank you, sir. Here's the truth. I'll say this, and I appreciate you having me on, man. You're my brother. I love you. We can do this all night. I am interested in today. Most people put all of their interest and their emphasis into Sunday morning in-person worship. And now we're starting to embrace the concept of streaming. Here's where I want to put a challenge to those who are in church or in pastoral leadership or leadership in their church. And that is, what are you doing with the other 147 hours out the week? Mm-hmm. So if all you're doing is putting your interest into a live streaming platform for Sunday, your people who are watching, how do you measure growth? I'm on this kick right now. So to know me, I have the opportunity to serve at 2 churches. I know it sounds weird, right? I am the executive pastor at Shekinah Kingdom Church, my home church here with my brother. And my brother has given me the opportunity to work with Bishop John Guns out of Florida. And there I service their digital executive pastor, where my whole thing is creating models of online worship. And I was talking with a guy named Jeff Reed, an amazing individual, and he introduced a concept of something that I've kind of embraced when we talk about church and being masterful and reaching people. And it's what I call the Peloton model. So recently, the Peloton bike is this huge phenomenon. Mm-hmm. Now, if I were to stand up, you would be able to see that I have not been on the bike at all, right? Right. Gravity is center mass with me. But what amazed me about it is, it isn't just another thing where you can get on the bike and you ride, but they have customized the exercises that you do based upon the progression that you're making where you are. Mm-hmm. So depending on where you go, depending on how you're advancing, that then unlocks the next step. And what if we took that same modality and put it to ministry? That it isn't just Bible study and small groups, but creating intentional platforms where people can take a journey with you. And as it's almost like playing Mario back in the day. Mm-hmm. Once you unlock level 1, level 2 opens up. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it continues this progression of self-paced, because the difference is there are going to be some people, as the same as you mentioned with your platform, there are some people who may not physically ever get to come to your location. Sean, there's somebody you could say you're going to meet at Golden Corral this Saturday. The people in Scotland can't come. Mm-hmm. So realistically, how do we create intentional moments of growth to create next steps, even in whatever we're doing, that isn't limited to physical location only, but is set up where people around the world can grow with you?
Yeah. And
how do we create that?
That's the new challenge now. Being able to reach out and touch you and not touch you.
That's it. And I say this to people watching, if you're still watching, I want to challenge you. Sean is going to probably fuss me out, and we'll probably change those words that we don't say off air. If you're watching this, let me push you to make that next step. So we've been talking about church the whole time, and that's cool because I love it. But don't listen to me talk about church and not think what Sean is doing isn't ministry. It is. I want to challenge the people watching, Sean, and you can get mad and beat me up. Listen, I'm younger than you. You my big brother, so I'll take this with me. I want to challenge. I want to challenge the people watching to do this. I want you to flood. Did I mention flood yet? I want you to flood his inbox. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to do 3 things. Number 1, I want you to push Sean until Sean go ahead and release this 757 Renaissance Man merch that I'm waiting on. What? Right. Number 2, because here's the truth. This is a movement that you're starting, man. This isn't a hobby. This is a movement. Second thing I'm challenging people to do, man, I'm challenging you to give. It does not make sense to listen to 30 or 45 minutes every week and pull something out of it and then just click and walk away. Or to think because you shared it, you've done your due diligence. If you think that's the case, go to the grocery store, get the biggest steaks they have, and throw a thank you and see how far you get out the door. Right. Not gonna work. Give. The third thing I want you to do, is this, and I mean this from my heart, because this is a little brother having an opportunity to share a stage with a big brother. I want you to help me push Sean's numbers. And here's what I mean. Here's what I mean. It's not just you sharing. I want you to put the 757, and stuff is right here on there. Sean, I want them to make you a favorite. It's different than just liking you. Liking you, here's an interesting fact. Interesting fact is this. On Facebook, on social media, I give this one to you for free. I study social media like it's a course, like it's a class. When you put a post out, it only gets released to 20% to 30% of your audience. So if you have...
Come on now, you preaching now, you preaching.
So the reality is this. If you set, whoever it is watching, if you put a post out, it's only going to go at max to 30%. So if you have 1,000 people, only 300 people are going to see it. Why? Because the algorithm says the more traction it gains, the more the algorithm says it's big. Mm-hmm. I want everybody who watches this to join me in making his platform a favorite. A favorite says no matter how many times he posts, it goes to 100% of his favorites. Make it a favorite. Here's the truth. We're growing from this. Sean, you've created a platform where you take your ministry and life and just being honest and being yourself. And you've created something where everybody can sit down, and regardless of who the speaker is, I laughed yesterday. I went back and watched you and LaTroy, and I laughed watching y'all talk about the NSU, VSU.
Hey. you can't bring it up. You can't say the name and not hear.
I watched y'all talk about that. So much so I did not put on my Virginia Union shirt today.
Okay.
Because I didn't want that smoke.
Because I would have paused and went upstairs and got my fresh Nova State shirt.
But I say this though, that man, this is the future of it. This is the future of empowerment. This is what the future. People want to know, Sean, here's the crazy part. You got people watching you who are looking at how they can take pieces of what you do and replicate it. I'm telling you, what you're doing is the future, bringing a revolutionary and a real perspective to life issues. That's the future of what media looks like. Mm-hmm. So, man, you're cutting edge. You're on it, man. You're on it.
Thank you.
Man, I appreciate you having me up here.
Yeah, man. I figure, it's a way of us to tell our story. So it's my way of giving back. So when my kids get older and be like, what was it like when you were growing up? What is it like? Who were the movers and shakers in the 757? I have something that I can show them. I have our history recorded, and I have, our people, because sometimes our voices aren't shared like everybody else's voices. So we have to go out of the way and do that.
I'm going to tell you what I appreciate about you. And that has nothing to do with me being up here. Typically, if we're honest, those people like us, Sean, we enjoy being in the background. Mm-hmm. If you never call our name, as long as it goes off good, woo! But you're given a voice and a platform to individuals to be able to see the person behind the personality. Mm-hmm. So you're on with Angus Black, and everybody knows Angus as the comedian. Yet as I watch your show with him, you're digging into who are you, not who is the character. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
When you talk with LaTroy, again, you're bringing such a place where it allows people a safe space that allows people the opportunity to be able to share their story of who they are and what they do. And they don't have to be Superman. Mm-hmm. You give an opportunity for me to come and be Clark Kent. And that is major, man.
Thank you.
So listen, your show is amazing. This platform is amazing. Anything I can ever do, I say this publicly and privately, man, you're my brother. Man, I support you 1,000,000%. Why? Because he's the 757 Renaissance man.
Oh my God.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. So this is how I end up all of my episodes. If a young Ray came to you and asked you for life advice, what would you tell him?
Dream bigger. And here's why I say that. Oftentimes, we have an idea of what we think we want to do. And if we're completely honest along the way, we encounter people that make us begin to minuscule our dream. Hmm. So, Sean, here's the truth. The truth is you need your own television show and station, right? Mm-hmm. But somebody has said, oh, man, I don't know if that'll work. Do you sure you want to start a podcast? Dream bigger. Ray at 40 would tell Ray at 15, you're dreaming too small. Hmm. Here's what I learned. It takes the same effort, the same determination to make $250,000 as it does to make $100,000. Same drive. Why settle? The sky is the limit, and I've learned that, and I say this a lot, not because it's cliche, but it's what I really believe. I believe that your dreams are realities that haven't come to birth yet. Mm. So I would tell myself to dream bigger, because along the way, there are times I doubted myself, or seasons that I should have moved differently that would have pushed me further that I was too scared to do. Or I let others people's opinion about what I could do stand in the way. So Ray would tell Ray, man, you're dreaming too small. You're dreaming too small. Awesome. Push harder, push farther. Become your nation's next Billy Graham. Mm. Can I unpack that for 30 seconds?
Go ahead.
I don't mean from the context of preaching. I mean from the context of the way his life is set up. Mm-hmm. So every now and again, Billy Graham, who's been dead, maybe 8 years of that? I don't even really know, right? I know he hasn't been preaching in over 10 years. Every now and again, I turn on TV at night, and there's an old black and white clip from like the 60s where he was packing out stadiums. Mm-hmm. Because somebody on his team said, hey, anything this man is doing, we need to make sure it's archived so that long after he's gone, his work will continue to speak. So for me, when I say to become the next Billy Graham, I mean to be in a position where everything I'm doing, I'm archiving, I'm writing it down, I'm taking pictures, I'm taking time to talk about it and journal the process so that when I'm dead and gone, my great-grandchildren can say, oh man, granddaddy was a goat. Mm-hmm. He did it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that's me, dream bigger, man. That's what I would tell myself.
Love it, man. All right, so how can people get in touch with you? What are your socials, your websites? This is your time. Go.
Okay, listen. Easy. Thank you, sir. I know how to do a self-plug. Listen, go to rayrouson.com. RAYROUSON.com. From there, you can get information. I do video production. I dabble in photography. I do a lot of what I call church concierge. Long story short, go to the website. Whatever your dream is, or idea or concept when it comes to church, that's kind of my niche. I can make it happen. You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. Ray Rouson is my name. It's simple, Ray Rouson. My Twitter is R.Rouson, but I don't really post up there a lot, so don't go there. But literally, if you search my name, it'll come up. That is where I am. I live there. My desire is to help push and unlock your dreams. So if you're a person who you really you have a concept or a dream, or you have a church or a ministry, and you're trying to figure out how can I crack that space open with technology, after you call Sean first. If he's not available, call me.
Yeah, bro. You know, we all can work together, bro. It ain't no problem.
Listen, and then you work with my big brother Mike. So
yeah,
you know.
And then on top of that, we got Ben.
Listen, y'all are cheating. That's unfair.
But we all. I tell people this all the time. We all were friends before we were born. My mom and Miss Thompson both were in the Hampton University Gospel Choir together.
Wow.
Way before they got married, before they thought about having kids. So out of the whole group, I'm the oldest. And then came Rhonda, and then came Michael, then came my sister, and then came Ben.
Wow.
And sprinkled in, we got Aaron and Ben.
Right.
And we all running around Rouson Jr Church back in the day.
Wow. Small world, man.
Yeah.
You never know the connections that you make, how long or how far those connections last. Mike introduced me. Mike Thompson introduced me to bass. Mm-hmm. I do graphics design because of Mike. I dabble in video. I tell Mike all the time that, and yes, Mike, I'm shouting you out, so get mad. All the time that he really has influenced so many people. And he's so quiet, he never takes the credit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have been on Team Big Measy for a long time.
So the next time you talk to Mike, ask him where he got his first copy of Photoshop from.
Oh, he got it from you. So then in that case,
allegedly.
Oh my God.
So it's a small world, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It's a small world. And I'm grateful for our brotherhood, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. And that's another reason I do this, because I want people to see, like, especially this first season of the podcast, a lot of these people are people that I didn't go out looking. These are people who I know, people who I grew up with. These are the same circles I've been traveling in 30 years. So a lot of these friendships go on even further than that. So, you know, this is the real. This is 757 Renaissance.
Listen, it's an amazing platform. I'm so honored that you would have me on. Listen, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the 757 Renaissance Man podcast. You can reach us at 757renaissanceman.com. Listen to Bro Ray. Go ahead and click that buy me a coffee. Leave me a message, leave me a voicemail. Tell me what you like, what you don't like, who you would like to see on the show coming up. Again, my brother, I want to thank you for taking your time out. This is definitely not going to be the last time. I already talked to your brother. I got a little something playing with him, so we might be doing some behind the scenes things together soon.
Sounds like a plan, man. I appreciate you again. To the 757 Renaissance Men Nation, thank you for having me on.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is 757 Renaissance Man. I'm Sean. Which way? That's Ray. And we out. Peace.